Okay, data scientists, scholar practitioner leaders, SPLs. We are back for our lecture 3 of 4 for our week 6. Now, I want to go ahead and do our deep dive into our week 6 material because this is going to be another phenomenal week. We have 3 assignments. Okay, well, I don't really want to get into the actual assignment parts yet, but I just want to give you that cursory that we will have 3 assignments for this week. But before I go into those assignments, I want to go over all of our learning materials, things that I'm expecting from you guys from this week 6 for our 2025 fall statistics for data science, our MSDS 531, section A01 for our first buy term. Okay. So just like in week 5, we have our overview, and our overview is always huge, guys, because this is what I'm always expecting from you. As we all know now that we're in week 6, what I'm expecting from you guys as deliverable items, okay, that you should really know that when you're done with this week 6, guys, when I go over the chapter sections, your reading materials, as well as also other learning materials, that you should be good to go, okay, based on the overview. So let's look at our overview for week 6, guys, because this one's it's going to be pretty fun because, as always, we know that everything carries over week to week. And that's so good about this course as well as our book. Our book actually aligns with the course as well. So it makes everything really granular for you guys, for you to always to succeed week by week, thus achieving the scoring and or grade that you're looking to have by the closure of our time together. Okay. So in our overview for our week 6 / deliverables, just remember, just like regression and classification methods are supervised methods that we now know, in which models are trained on data where outcomes are known, and so they can predict the outcomes giving new material. So we now know that classification methods such as the k-nearest neighbors that you guys are going to get very familiar with classify records in accordance with how similar records are actually classified. So, statistical machine learning is distinguished from classical statistical methods since it is data driven and does not seek to impose linear or other overall structure on the data. So, you guys are going to appreciate that this week, okay? The widely used technique for classification is based on what is called decision trees. Okay. This technique learns rules about relationships between predictor and outcome variables. So make sure, guys, that you understand these therefore mentioned deliverables for this week in regard to statistical machine learning, how it distinguished from classical statistical methods. So make sure you understand that, because we know that classical statistical method is actually data driven and does not seek to actually impose linear or other overall structure on the data. Okay, so be mindful of that as you move forward during this week. Okay, so again, this overview will be posted on our announcement boards as my deliverable, and it's going to be paraphrased as such. So when you read it, it's being derived from the actual overview. Okay, when you see my deliverables that I'm expecting that you to have in your hip pocket, it's all about your hip pocket, guys. Making sure that you have it down to a science. Thus, data scientists understand what I'm requiring from you as far as my expectations for this week 7 as a deliverable. Okay, so it needs to be delivered. I'm delivering to you. You guys need to know it, nail it, and have it in your hip pocket. So when you see it again, when you see it again, there it is. You know what that means: a quiz and or final exam. You have it all down to a science because you've taken great notes. And that's the key. I've been preaching that since week one, guys. Take great notes, take great notes, take great notes. Because you see in the quizzes, everything pops up. And when you see it on the quiz, everything from the quiz will be on our next exam. Okay, so you guys, which thus is the final exam. So be mindful of that. Make sure you do everything that's indicative for each current week. And what's always the one common denominator for each week? Take great notes. That's how you win it. My course. Take good notes so when you see it, you can always refer to your notes because you got the topic. I'm thinking highlighted on your notes. And this is what Dr. Mark talked about for this week. Oh, okay, here it is in regard to talking about the classification method and or K nearest neighbors. Okay, you guys will always have your notes. That's the key to be successful. As I'm always saying, take notes, take notes, take notes. Data scientists, SPLs. Okay, now with that also being outlined to you, just make sure that you understand the relationship between predictor and the overall, therefore mentioned the outcome variables. Okay, those things that I'm mentioning to you twice, you know what that means. So take these good notes. Make sure you go to the book, take even more notes on the things that I'm mentioning in this lecture, because you will see this gratuitous items again. Okay, and you will. Okay. Alrighty. So the objectives for this week 6, guys, the module objectives, by the end of this week, you should be able to do 4 things like the other side of your pillow. That's how good you should know it. Okay. You should be able to build the K nearest neighbors model. And like I said previously, you're going to see that in this week. You're going to understand what K nearest neighbors model is all about. Second thing, you're going to be able to evaluate. Not only are you going to be able to build it, second thing is you're going to be able to evaluate the K nearest neighbors model's performance. Thirdly, you're going to build the actual decision tree model. Okay, so when you build those the actual decision tree models, you're going to enjoy those because those are really cool. And so when you see that, you're going to be like, you know what, Dr. Mark did tell me this was really cool. The actual author, the 3 authors, they do a good job in really breaking it down, and that's one of the reasons why this overall practical statistics for data scientists by Bruce and Gettick is a phenomenal book because they really take their time because they don't try to do nothing over your head that is just blowing you away. They always break it down so granular so you can comprehend and understand it. This is why you're going to know how to build that decision tree model because Bruce and Geck does a great job in showing you how to do that. Okay, you're going to enjoy. And if you have any problems, you can reach out to yours truly, me, and we can go over it together. But I'm just going to refer to the book because I know it's really granular. I've already seen it on numerous occasions. I really like how they lay that out for you. So if I like it, I know you're going to love it. Okay, and then the last objective for this week 6 is you got to be able to, there's that word again that we've been talking about over the past 3 weeks, differentiate between K nearest neighbors and tree models. There you go. And that's going to be indicative for this whole entire week 6, guys. Understand how to use it and or differentiate whatever you're trying to do, especially in regard to the K nearest neighbors and tree models, okay? Along with the building that tree model as well. So you guys will see this is going to be another phenomenal good week. Although we have 3 assignments that I'm going to talk about in my last lecture for week 6, but building up to it, that's the good thing. Get into a nice quiet place, really sit down, relax, really get into your environment when you're grasping your statistical work for this course. Once you really embrace really what you're doing, enjoying it, you'll see how everything just truly comes together because you're in a quiet place, really taking your time to comprehend and how to differentiate items. Okay. and you're checking it off as I'm talking about in regard to the respective weeks model objectives as well as the respective weeks deliverables. So get into that quiet zone, comprehend everything for a couple of hours a day or whatever, however you study, works out the best for my data scientists that I've been told. I've been told, like, Dr. Mark, you was really right. It's always good when I can just be at a quiet place for a couple of hours and really comprehend what you're articulating for us to do. And I just give them a thumbs up because that's what it's all about. Okay. All right. So, also in our learning material for this week 6, of course, we're going to be discussing what chapter? Just like the week, chapter 6, out of our Practical Statistics for Data Scientists book. Now we're going to be looking at good old SML, that is statistical machine learning. Okay, so you're going to appreciate that. And in that chapter 6, I only wanted you to look at 2 areas. Okay, take your time because it's worth. It's going to be really worth it when it's time to do your assignments for this week. Make sure you understand, as I previously mentioned, K nearest neighbors and those tree models, okay? And the way you go about making sure that you got it, how you do that, taking great notes. So those 2 areas out of the statistical machine learning section, out of our chapter 6, out of our electronic book, is again the K nearest neighbors and tree models. That's what you're gonna have to read and take sufficient notes on. Okay, and then in our embedded book here in our content for our modern statistics with an R, click on the book, of course. Inside our content, we got one area that I want you to look at, which is section 9.5. Okay, and that's going to pay huge dividends for you. So really get a good lay of the land, making sure that you understand how to use machine learning models. Okay, and then if you really want to get really in tune with that machine learning models, hey, feel free to do extracurricular work. As I always mention, I'm always giving you extra things if you want to do it. If you go into your supplemental material, it's always a win-win for yourself and for me because it shows me that you guys are really, really ahead of the curve because you're working ahead in many cases and you're also doing the supplemental book material that I've been told. And that's how I know that many of you do work ahead and indulge in the supplemental book material because it does pay off as far as comprehending, really comprehending what you need to know for the respective week and moving forward. So, supplemental book material, hey, I never have an issue with that. And I never have an issue with you working ahead. But just be mindful, I don't, as I've stated previously, I don't answer any questions when you ask me about a future week that you're working on. I'm only answering questions in regard to the current week. If you work ahead, you're working ahead on your own discretion. Okay. So you guys are aware of that. If not, I'm putting it out there as a housekeeping item. Okay. Because you know me, I'm always giving you housekeeping items just to make sure you guys are ahead and making sure that you understand what I'm expecting out of you. So I never have an issue with the supplemental book material. If you're moving forward and or doing additional items. Now I can help you with something that you're trying to figure out in regard to supplemental book material, but I'm not going to assist you with the assignment if you're on a different week's assignment. You have to wait until I get there because that's not fair to the class. Okay? Alrighty, guys. So those are, for me, your learning materials for this ensuing week, as well as understanding what I'm expecting out of you. Okay. So we know about chapter 6 for this week 6, what section that I want to make sure that you guys nail it. Okay. Really nail it. Take your time. Understand SML. It's all about statistical machine learning this week 6. Okay. And then go into your modern statistics with an R embedded link here in the content. Again, section 9.5 only, looking at machine learning models, you're going to be successful. Make sure you take great notes and make sure you understand the K nearest neighbors and tree models from SML. Okay. Alrighty, guys. So when we come back, we are now going to go over our assignments for this week 6. And we have 3 assignments. So I'll see you guys shortly. See you in a second. Bye bye.